Welcome to the Maine Zone. I am Jermaine, and thank you for tuning my podcast. Wherever you are, however you're listening, Spotify, Apple, or even Google Podcasts, I appreciate it. Even if you're watching on YouTube while you're riding down the street, uh, thank you. From everything in me, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. Got to get more content out faster. Just been swamped with, you know, my my school, life period. So apologies for not being on more. Gonna get back at it. I keep saying that, but I gotta do it. But again, thank you for everyone that listens and watches and keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing. So let's get started. Lots to talk about. I mean, since last time I did a podcast, a lot has happened. Not gonna go over everything. Mainly, I'm gonna talk about the Routine Team documentary. Great documentary if you haven't watched it yet. I am gonna talk about Draymond Green. Spend some time talking about the French prospect Victor Wanyama. Looks phenomenal. We'll get into that here in a second. We'll talk about the situation in Boston with Udoka, but even Robert Sarver, the owner of the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury. Before we do that, let's go over some news. I got to talk about Deion Sanders and Jackson State. So let's get started with that. All right, let's start with Jackson State. So as you know, for those that don't know, yesterday Jackson State played Alabama State in Alabama State's homecoming. Eddie Robinson Jr., the head coach of Jackson State, after the game, Deion went to give him a handshake, and then what Eddie Robinson Jr. said was a bro hug. He declined it, put his hand in Deion's chest. Deion took offense to that. During the press conference, Eddie Robinson Jr. let it be known that Sanders was disrespectful, walking through their side of the field. Felt disrespected through the media all week. Deion then went on to release a video of him walking across the stadium, around the field, I should say, doing something he says he does at every game. And you can hear the audio of it because as Deion said, he's always got the mic on. So you hear the audio of it. Derogatory comments were made to him by the Alabama State players. And Deion addressed it. Eddie Robinson Jr. was saying that Deion is not swag, and he is swag. So here's in a nutshell, to me, Eddie Robinson Jr. is sounding like a hater. Frustrated about the loss, frustrated by all the notoriety that Deion is getting, frustrated by the publicity that Deion's getting, frustrated by the amount of recruits that Deion's able to get, frustrated by the presence of Deion. Let's just say that. And I think it showed itself during the post game. I said pre-game, I meant post-game comments. There's no place for that. If Deion does that every game, don't take it personal. I think what Deion has done for HBCUs is phenomenal. What's frustrating me is y'all shouldn't be bickering at one another. You should be praising Deion for what he's been able to do to elevate the HBCU platform. You have more and more people talking about HBCUs. They're having NFL scouts at HBCUs. You got to remember, if I give y'all a quick history lesson, there was a time when some of the greatest players came out of HBCU schools. And for the past 20-something years, that hasn't happened. All of our best players are going to your Power 5 schools. They're going to Bama. They're going to Texas and Georgia and Clemson, even heading out west to Oregon. So you don't have as many. But once Deion got on board and he got Travis Hunter to go, even though he hasn't played a lot this year, it opened up the floodgates, so to speak, for publicity to these HBCUs. So, like, my thing is, don't be upset with Deion. Work with him. Like, you brought a lot of, instead of bringing a lot of positive notoriety to that game this weekend, it's just negative publicity. I just hate to see it. I mean, get out, recruit. Ask Deion what he's doing. Deion's there to grow the SWAC. He's not just there to grow Jackson State. So that's my take on that. Eddie Robinson Jr. just sounded a little bit bitter. I think as he should teach his players from the standpoint of what we heard in the audio to have more respect. He should have calmed down before he went out and spoke to the media. Seeing that he was so frustrated, I don't think that would have been a bad idea. You know, it's a lot of times all of us that are in athletics and have competed, you need to cool off, you know, before you speak. So I know a lot of people are going to be talking about tomorrow on all the sports talk, you know. That's my thing about it. It is Deion has done a great thing at bringing a lot of publicity to the SWAC. Let's not run them out of there. You know, I'm pretty sure some Power 5 schools are going to be coming at him, but Deion's not doing this for the money. I think he believes, I follow him on social media. I truly believe that he is in it for the right reasons, which is to grow Jackson State into a great program. His son is having a phenomenal season playing quarterback. I know he's not going to get any Heisman love, but he's having a great season. And Jackson State's just whooping on some people. I mean, it's great. You know, go Deion. All right. A little NFL right quick. Hey, big ups to Brian Robinson. Y'all remember about 6 weeks ago, he got shot in carjacking out in D.C. Well, he played his first game in the NFL today. Got in the game. I mean, didn't do too much, but just the fact that he survived the robbery and then made it back in 6 weeks is phenomenal. You know, I'm not going to talk a lot of NFL today. The season's moving right along. I mean, I am going to say my Cowboys are sitting 4-1. Now, 4-1 sounds great, but you're 4-0 without your overpaid quarterback. So that will always be my thing with the Cowboys. They're winning right now without Dak. What do they do when he gets back? Is it proving that he's, you know, a little bit overrated, but not getting all that? Eagles look great. Giants, surprising, look great. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are just on a whole nother planet as far as QB play. Russell Wilson, I mean, you talk about a waste of money or someone looks like they've been exposed. That's Russell Wilson. But enough NFL. I mean, that's really it. I mean, early in the season, the first quarter of the season is ending tomorrow night, Monday night. Glad the Cowboys are winning. Hopefully they keep it up. But we'll see. I know I'm preparing to be let down. NBA starts in a week and a half, but 9 days. I'll do my playoff prediction this week as far as who's going to make the playoffs. I might even do a whole segment on who's tanking for Victor. But yeah, NBA is close. It's close. You know, big ups for the Warriors if they defend that title. Baseball playoffs are upon us. It's crazy how so many people only watch baseball in the postseason. I watched it last night. I was watching the Mets and Padres game, and it's so slow. I get it. It's intense, and you're trying to concentrate, but the amount of time between pitches, especially when the Padres are up to pitch, was draining. But big ups to Aaron Judge on a phenomenal year this year. 62 home runs, set the AL record. I've been reading a lot of sports journalists saying his season's better than Bond's. What's wrong with you? Whoever says that. The whole thing is, well, Bonds was juiced. Well, so was probably 85-90% of baseball players. So at that time, Bonds is the best hitter of all time. For people to say the 73 that Bonds hit or is second, or it's not the true, the asterisk by it, and Aaron Judge as the record, and even Roger Morris, a junior son, chimed in. But here he goes again, flying around the country, witnessing, American League Baseball history. I give him that. But he wasn't saying anything when when Mark McGwire in '98 was shattering his father's record. He was flying all over the country and hugging McGwire. Everybody knew what McGwire was really doing, was what he was on, and he wasn't saying anything then. And to come out now and your father passed a long time ago. His legacy has lived on through the 61 home runs in the American League. Just fade away. I mean, I don't think his opinion matters in it. Judge has had a great year, but everybody that's saying it's the best year they've ever seen. Y'all getting trapped in the prison of the moment syndrome, which so often we do. But shout out to baseball. You are in your postseason. So let's see how everything goes. I got the Dodgers winning it all, for anybody that even wants to know. But let's go Dodgers. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I like Mookie Betts. I've always been a Kershaw fan. Okay, so let's get to what we're really going to dive in today. All right, Redeem Team documentary. All right, so let's go all the way backstory. So you got to remember, 92, Dream Team, first time they let pros play. It was, Jordan, Johnson, and Bird, and Patrick Ewing, and Pippen, Barkley, Malone. They just annihilated the world. And then you get to 96, they did the same thing. But by the time you get to 2004, Argentina actually wins the gold at the Olympics. The United States gets the bronze. That particular time through the Olympics, none of the big dogs, so to speak, wanted to play. So the United States just put together basically a makeshift team. They had Iverson and Tim Duncan, Stephon Marbury's on the squad. They had Wade and LeBron and Melo, but those guys were young. I think it was right after their rookie year. So LeBron was about 19 years old. So they ended up with bronze. So then Jerry Colangelo takes over USA Basketball. Instead of just doing it like makeshift, let's just get 12 guys to go out here and hoop, because with the United States, we're going to beat everybody. He puts together a program, So I'm giving you the backstory, then I'm giving you my take on the documentary. All right, so it starts to work. They still come up short a couple times. After that, they have to qualify in 07 to make the Olympics. And then here comes Kobe. Kobe finally shows up in 07. He's supposed to play in 06 with them, but he had knee surgery. So 07, Kobe gets there. And from the beginning, you got to remember, Kobe is so beloved. One, yes, he passed away, and he's my favorite player, and 5 championships and all that kind of stuff. But this is before his last 2 titles. This is, the time after Shaq. Kobe's always been a loner. So it's how does he fit into this team? So even if you're watching the documentary, they're saying how the first meeting, Kobe's sitting by himself. Him and LeBron are considered the 2 best players in the world. Who's going to be the leader of the team? And Kobe shows up at 07. So the whole story goes, all the guys go out to party. Here's Kobe. When they're coming in from the club, Kobe's actually going into the gym. So he sets the tone from the jump of the type of work ethic it takes to be a champion. So from there, D Wade joins him in the morning, and then LeBron joins him, and slowly but surely, all the guys on the team would join him for their 5 a.m. workouts. So you clearly could see who set the tone as the ultimate alpha male of the team. I know Carlos Bruiser made a comment that there's two alphas, and you would know, but the reality of it is the one alpha of that team was Kobe Bryant. He set the tone of everything, even in the opening piece in the trailer that they released was when Kobe told the guys, "Hey, they're gonna run a play. Pau Gasol's gonna be the last guy on the pick. We'll run right through him." I'm not gonna say the words he actually said, but I'm running right through his chest. Watch the video. He runs right through Pau, setting the tone that yes, Pau Gasol's my teammate. Yes, I'm going to win 2 titles in a row with Pau. Yes, I care about him a lot, but right now he's on the other team. So from that moment, as you know, United States wins gold. They get to the gold medal game, and Kobe's just being Kobe. Playing ultimate, great defense, hitting big shots down the stretch of the game against Spain. And my take on the documentary, so that's the whole documentary. My take on it was done very well. I wish they would have had more commentary from others, from other players. It was mainly the guys doing the talking were LeBron, Melo, and Wade. I would like to hear some other voices, even some against some of the guys that they played against. They should have grabbed Carlos Arroyo. They could have grabbed Ginobili for this documentary, but I think it was done very well. I think they did do a great job of highlighting Kobe's will to win, his intensity, and dedication to the game. I just don't think there's someone that's as dedicated to basketball as Kobe Bryant was. But all in all, great documentary. I recommend to anybody to watch it. Not close to being as good as The Last Dance, but worth watching. Because it did put the United States back up top in the basketball world. Because for a while there, people were coming. Argentina just beat us. Spain was right there. So I will say that great job on the documentary and something cool to watch. All right, let's go to Draymond Green. Okay, so let's get it straight. Draymond gets into first it's released that Draymond gets into an altercation with Jordan Poole, but then the next day the video's leaked. As you see, they're probably mouthing off because there's no audio, so they're probably mouthing off, just going, basketball talk, jawing at each other. Draymond walks to his airspace. Now I'm going to piggyback on something that Shannon Sharp said, which is Jordan Poole must not have been in a lot of fights because once Draymond closed that airspace and he got right up on him, you don't push, you got to swing because, hey, you don't know what's about to happen next. So Jordan Poole pushes him and Draymond, pops him one. Classic act, sucker punch. A lot of other words to say to describe it, but I'm not going to say it here. But it was a bad look on Draymond. Just lack of leadership, lack of control. I think the lack of control stems from his wanting of a max contract. Also knowing that Poole was up for a contract as well, I think played a part in this. I think if Draymond had already been maxed out, he would have been just ignored Jordan Poole. I think the fact that Draymond's under a little bit of pressure, because one, I know people rave about, he's the glue guy and he has intensity and he plays great defense and blah, 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 blah. Man, he's a role player, bottom line. I'm not dismissing his contributions to the Warriors titles, but at the end of the day, he's just a role player. And I think the kind of the writing's on the wall for him as far as how much longer he's going to be with the Warriors. So I think that's where that level of frustration went up. Wiggins proved in the finals that he's valuable. You're not trading Clay. You're not trading Curry. You're not trading Wiseman. You're not trading Kuminga. So I think he lost his cool because he sees the writing on the wall, which is by next year I'm at the walk. Because he's up, I think he's got a player option for this next summer. So he can take his player option, it's probably like $25 million, or he can become a free agent. I think he's going to become a free agent. I think the Warriors are going to let him walk. This might even, took that over the cliff as far as just that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to let Jordan Poole walk. I think they know Steph can't go on forever. And Poole's learning a lot from Steph. I know Clay can't go on forever. So what does Jordan Poole do? So here's two scenarios. All right, on one end is Jordan Poole, which is like, there's no way he would have done that to me. It would have done that to Clay or to Wiggins or to Steph. So Poole could say, hey, him or me. Like, point blank. What if he were to do that? And then Draymond, what could he do about that? The worst part about it is Draymond's comments on the barbershop I think he was on. And he said he hates playing for sorry teams. Or he doesn't get up to play against sorry teams. Man, what if the Warriors ship him out to a sorry team? Heck, what if the only team that willing to sign him next year is a sorry team? Like, you're going to eat your words one day. Like, role player, blows up on a teammate, punches him in the face. Not a good look for the league. Not a good look for Draymond Green at all. And Jordan Poole could just sit back and say, hey, I want the max. I'll take a little bit less to, stay with the Warriors, but I don't want Draymond here. I don't think it'd be that far, but I do think the writing's on the wall for Draymond, just because they got these Wiseman and Kuminga coming up. And I think Draymond is expendable because he can't score. All that intangible crap is great, but you can't put the ball in the bucket. What are you doing? I mean, this is a different NBA from the standpoint of continuously having to play with 4-on-5. That's a big issue with even Ben Simmons. So we'll see. But I'm glad Draymond did issue an apology. Curious to see what he has to say on his podcast about it. He has his own podcast and he does most of the talking. So I am curious to see what he has to say about that. But Jordan Poole, man, have your hands up. I mean, how you just standing there? So that's my take on the Draymond Jordan Poole boxing match. Third topic, I got one more after this. Let's talk about that young guy from France, Victor Wembanyama. It's a bad boy. 18 years old, played against the G League Ignite 2 games last week. The last one he had 36, 11, 4 blocks, 4 assists. He might be the highest rated prospect of all time. I would have concerns. Those concerns are his frame. A lot of times guys that tall, that thin, they don't last. They don't last. He's not a unicorn, man. This kid's like an alien. Like, the way he shoots the 3 ball, the way he handles the ball, and then he's 7'4". I see why the Spurs and the Thunder and probably even the Rockets this year and who else can tank for him? I can see it. I see why. I think OKC and the Spurs, they need to tank the most from the standpoint of you can't sign free agents because nobody wants to live in those cities. So you got to build through the draft, and if you can get a hold of him, I mean, if his body holds up, that's a 10-time All-Star, 10, 15-time All-Star most likely. So man, he looked great. I can't lie. I enjoyed watching him play. I like what his agent said about he's not here to hide away or shut him down. He's here to play. That's what he does, is play. So good to see that, man. You'll remember the name. If you haven't watched him yet, go check him out. He's an 18-year-old French prospect named Victor Wembanyama. will be great one day. Hopefully, again, like I said, if his body holds up. And then lastly, before I get y'all out of here for the night, let's talk about this whole Ime Udoka situation. Now, number one, I don't have all the facts. Anybody that makes just thinks that you can make a pass at somebody is wrong, or speak to somebody in a certain way is wrong, or put your hands on somebody in any type of way is wrong. So let's just get that out of the way. Again, I don't have all the facts. Initially, it said it was a consensual relationship with a staff member. Now we're finding out more about that. So clearly that's not what it was. So I'm not here to defend Udoka at all. My issue with the whole thing was the timing, because you have to remember Robert Sarver, the owner of the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury, was initially suspended by the league for 1 year and fined $10 million for his sexist and racist comments at staff members. They have proof of that. That's what the league came into agreement with. And then a few days later, the Celtics come down on Udoka and they say he's going to be suspended for a year. Again, initially it was a consensual relationship. So that's the issue. It's the timing. Like, the Celtics brass knew about this before. It's almost like, hey, we got to cover up my man. So let's get rid of. I'm not get rid of him, but let's go ahead and pursue this Udoka fine, because we don't want the sports talk talking about Robert Sarver for very long. And that's what happened. Like, Robert Sarver, his story went away really quick, and everything turned to Udoka. I mean, even the Brett Favre thing, but I don't want to get into that tonight. But y'all are not talking about. Nobody was talking about that. They're talking about Udoka. And again, don't come at me. Don't be mad at me thinking that I am defending him. I'm not. It's the timing of all things. Because remember, Robert Sarver's suspension, that's all they gave him. And then the backlash from LeBron and several other NBA players made Sarver decide to sell his ownership stake in those teams. So it's not like the NBA was out here like, hey, we're not going to put up with that. We're going to fine you for multiple years. I mean, for him, a $10 million fine is nothing. Probably the max that the NBA can actually give, though. And then a 1-year suspension. I mean, for those type of comments, no, that's not enough. So my issue with the Udoka and the Robert Sarver thing is really just the timing. Because I don't think Udoka and Sarver warrant the same time of suspension. Now, I'll say this. Again, that was when it was released as it was consensual. Okay. So, knowing now what I know, a little bit more details, it was not consensual and he was out of line, I doubt he ever coaches again in the NBA. I wouldn't hire him. For the simple fact is, yes, I agree with second chances and all that. But in certain instances, I don't think so. If your nature is to be disrespectful and come at someone the wrong way because you hold power over them, then I don't think you should work in certain fields, because I don't think that goes away. I don't think he's just going to all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, what I did was wrong and I shouldn't treat women this way. You shouldn't. But I don't think if he gets in another position of power, I wouldn't doubt that happens again. So for me, I don't think he'll ever work in the NBA again. We shall see, though. He's a phenomenal coach, clearly leading the Celtics to the finals this past year. So, we've seen other people come back and get second chances. But that's my thing. It's just really the timing. And then also, lastly, I'll say it's the it's the speed at which people want to come out with stories. Um, Very sad that people are leaking photos of just women on the Celtic staff saying that this is the person he's having this relationship with no facts. You can ruin lives, ruin families. I mean, I get it. These are all NBA players, and you know, we put them on a pedestal, or this is an NBA coach. But at the end of the day, they have a family, they have children, they have a spouse. Like, you throwing out a picture of a staff member saying, "Oh, this is the girl that Udoka was messing with." Well, if it's not true, that's sad, because now their kid might see it, or their kids at their kid's school might see it, and that's not the way of doing things. I mean, we need to, as a society, we need to stop trying to get everything out first, as opposed to we should get the facts first and then release. But right now, everybody gets paid just to release. Same even with the Draymond situation. Like, I've never seen a Warriors video practice. But something like that happened, and it's like, we're going to sell this to somebody. So that's what happened. So that's it. I mean, again, it's been a while. Again, thank you all for your support as always, though. I mean, hey, let's subscribe, comment. I'll comment back. But until the next time, be blessed.